Yo, what is up, guys? Supreme Ultimate Power here, sup for short, and welcome to another episode of. So, last episode we discovered what type of players you guys are. Whether you were an objective player or a Slayer player or a bad player, and if you were an objective player, I taught you or I gave you tips on how to become a better objective players, and by this increase your score per minute. Because what we're trying to do is just level up as fast as possible. But in this episode, we're gonna focus on the Slayer players and how to become a better Slayer. And first, you have to understand what type of Slayer you are, and there are 3 Slayers, and it should be very straightforward what type of Slayer you are. There are the most popular Slayer, the most generic, all up in your face. You're capping the flag. I'm gonna jump in there. You're getting jump shot, drop shot, knife, all that stuff. Usually they don't run silenced weapons. And if you follow the MLG scene, because I'm gonna use example from the MLG, these players would be definitely 100% Scumpy from Optic Gaming, Dito from SB. And is there another one that's 100%? Definitely Aches from Cole last year. I'm not sure if this year, I haven't seen a lot of him, but from what I saw of him back in Black Ops 2, he was definitely a all up in your face type of Slayer back in Black Ops 2. Now, the second type is the more reserved Slayer that's not the objective player, but knows that the objective player sucks, so he aids to him. So he's more of a defense. He's a defensive player. That's basically his role. And that's someone that stays back. Sometimes it's a camper, sometimes he's not a camper. He would go in a building. For example, in this map, he would be in bottom Owens or top Owens. He'd wait there, and he would go to Owens 2, and then he'd go back to Owens 1, or he would move on to, I call that building right in front of me red, so, or barn, whatever, either one works. So he would move there, but always stay on his side, never cross B. And from the MLG scene, this would 100% be someone like JCap from Face Red, Proofy from Face Black. I'm not 100% if it's Proofy, but Proofy is the majority of this type of Slayer. And Clayster from Optic Gaming. Now, this type of Slayer usually runs an AR. The Rusher type of Slayer usually runs an SMG, and then the last type of Slayer is the Sneaky Slayer. This is someone who is the one that's flanking you, and whose game knowledge their gun skill is not necessarily up to par with their game knowledge. So their hands really can't keep up with their brain. They're thinking this and that and this and that, but their physical attributes can't do what their brain wants them to do. This is 100% Rambo. Not so much, but he was a lot nade shot. He's a really good sneaker. And what I say with sneaker, not like a sneaker like a shoe, but he sneaks behind enemy lines and then takes them out from the back. So then the enemy, they turn around because they think there's more than one guy, and then that's when either Clayster or Scumpy pumps up and shoots them. And it's a pain in the ass to deal with these people that are able to go behind enemy lines, and then as soon as you realize that there's someone behind enemy lines, it is really hard to not lose it, because you could be shot from the back and from the front, so you don't know where to check. And there are many instances that you check the wrong place and bam, you get shot. Sometimes you do check the right place, you continue looking forward, and then you shoot somebody and then you turn around. But for the most time, you're gonna fuck up. it's just karma, and karma's a bitch. So this type of player is no, I already said who this type of player is. Nadeshot and Rambo. So normally this player on a public game would run a silenced weapon, and he's a mid-range player, which means he uses both ARs and SMGs, but he uses heavy SMGs, something like the MTAR, and light ARs, something like I'm using right now, the Honey Badger, or he might be using the Fad, or stuff like that. So now that I've described what type of player, what type of slayers there are, you should know which type of slayer you are. So let me tell you the score streaks, and this is the most important part. If you're a full-on head-on assault slayer, which means you just like gun skill, you should stick to the lower tier score streaks. So something like a 5-point score streak, the dog, a 9-point score streak, the vulture or the battle hind, and a 10-point score streak, which would be the maniac. If you're more of a sneaky type of player, you could use the satcom, the guard dog, and the sentry gun, or you could basically the from 9 and up, it could be you, or 10 if you are a really good sneaky slayer. So like anything matches your playstyle, because you know which ones to use. You know how to use the SATCOM, you know how to use an IMS, guard dog, sentry gun, the Griffin, Vulture, Battle Hind, Trinity Rocket. You're definitely not going to use the main. And if you're more of a laid back type player, you're gonna be running something like SATCOM, Battle Hind, Griffin, or Battle Hind, Griffin, and Trinity Rocket, or maybe in a sentry gun, something that is not all up in your face. Your score streak really depend on your momentum. You know, all up in your face type of slayer, they're really momentum based players, so you really don't want to lose your momentum. So they don't, a player controlled score streak is not beneficial to them, because as soon as they lose their momentum, they could go on a death streak really fast. And you know, there was a period where I was this type of player. I was a really good slayer back in Black Ops 2, back in its peak, because there were a lot of players from California, so I could get really good connection, so that way I could go off and not worry about losing gunfights because of my connection, because I had a stable average connection. But basically either running SATCOM or not running SATCOM really depends on your KD, and your KD should be above 1.3. If it's not above 1.3, you're not a good slayer, and you should run support streaks and just something like the ammo crate and goddamn and the ballistics vest. So that's gonna be the commentary for today. I actually went over, my bad. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one. And remember, better fucking up your game, goddamn.